In giving a homily, a priest has the option of preaching either on the readings for the day or some other phrase from the Mass. Tonight I would like to look at the words of consecration. Those words where the bread becomes Christ truly present on the altar. And those words are these: "This is my body given up for you, and do this in memory of me." Seniors, you may not be aware of this, but there are a lot of Catholics who question whether or not the money spent on Catholic education is worth it. This year alone, the Catholic Church in the United States has spent several $billions on educating young people. And that is on top of tuition from parents and gifts from donors. Several $billions. A lot of people look at that money and ask, could we be spending that on the poor, or on new churches, or on hospitals? And those are good questions. We have to ask ourselves, why might some people think that money spent on Catholic education might not be the best way to go? The main reason that people probably question that investment is, first of all, the strength of our public schools. Secondly, it is questioned because when we look at statistics, the kind of statistics that people like to look at, they are not overwhelmingly favorable to Catholic schools. Drug use and alcohol use are not significantly different between public and Catholic school children. Kids who attend Catholic schools are just as likely to miss Mass on Sundays as those who go to public schools. Why the investment? As we look around and decide what it is that you seniors leave here with, and we decide whether or not the investment of the Catholic Church made on your behalf was worth it, I want you to remember this phrase: "This is my body given up for you. Do this in memory of me." In college, I took a general theology class. The professor was pretty anti-Catholic, and he would challenge me a lot about Catholicism. And I struggled with my inability to explain the faith. And I realized I really knew hardly anything about Catholicism, even after 9 years of Catholic schools. What kept me going in the midst of those challenges was this: I remembered the example of Sister Marie Grace, my 4th grade teacher. And I remembered the example of Sister Teresa Clare. And I remembered the example of my mom and my dad. I couldn't explain much about Catholicism. I couldn't tell you why we believed in transubstantiation, the papacy. I didn't have Bible verses memorized. But I knew that those things mattered a great deal to my parents and to the sisters who taught me. And because of the way they lived their lives, the things that they cared about, I knew I should care about, even if I couldn't explain it all at the age of 19. This is my body given up for you. You have been surrounded, seniors, by people who have given of their very bodies for you. Not in some philosophical way. They've sacrificed themselves for you. And the reason why they have is because Christ did it first. And he told his followers to do the same thing in memory of him. This is my body given up for you. Do this in memory of me. To your left, seniors, are your teachers. People who have endured stress, lost sleep, stayed after school, coached you, made phone calls for you, wrote letters for you, read over papers for you, and they have challenged you. Why? Because Jesus said, "This is my body given up for you. Do this in memory of me. Behind you and around you are your parents and guardians and your family. They have perhaps worked multiple jobs for you, endured stress, lost sleep, prayed for you, given up things so that you could have them instead. They have fed you, clothed you, and they have given you their money. Most importantly, they have given you their love. Why? Because Christ said, "This is my body given up for you," and he says to us that we are to do that same thing in memory of him. Finally, on this altar, Christ reveals himself once again. He encourages us to consume his body and to turn around, walk out the door of this church, and do the same thing. He's not a military commander, though, giving orders to be followed blindly. He tells you, seniors, to give of your bodies for other people, because it is that kind of life that is ultimately satisfying and nothing else. If you live only for yourself, he knows you will experience a deep sadness in your life. Seniors, the question is, when will you get that? Do you get it now? Will it be when you are 19 and you are challenged in a theology class? Will it be when you start having your own children? Will it be when you are much older? Teachers and parents from public schools make sacrifices as well. There is no denying that. But the Catholic Church invests billions into Catholic schools for this reason, so that you may hear about on a daily basis why your parents and teachers and community give so much to you. And it is because of what Christ does on this altar. Seniors, Christ says today and always, "This is my body given up for you. Do this in memory of me." Look around, see the example of all those who have given to you, and decide it is time to follow in their footsteps.